People don't understand how important body language is. That 80% of what a person perceives of an individual is coming based off body language.
Body language.
Now, what are some of your deal breakers?
Pop 'em.
Okay, that's cool. They must be not ambitious. But anyways, what was the question?
What are some of your deal breakers?
Yes, so my deal breakers, someone who's not respectful, someone who's not ambitious, someone who has kids, someone who don't have their own place, their own car, things of that sort. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on over to some of these pop balloons. Your name and age, and why did you end up popping your balloon?
My name is Vince. I'm 30, and very beautiful, but might be a little sassy.
Spring is around the corner. God damn it.
Yes,
We've
sir.
had-
Finally.
We've had a pretty long winter. Had 2 severe snowstorms. We made it through it. It disappeared a lot faster than I anticipated.
Yeah,
I
for
thought,
sure. 100%.
yeah, I thought it was gonna take a lot longer. Unless the time, we just didn't notice how much time has went by from the time of first
I think
snowstorm.
like that big snowstorm.
It's been a month now.
Like accumulatively, it was like 50 centimeters.
Yeah, 50
So like a
centimeters.
big amount of snow, and
Yes.
pretty much it melted within like 3 weeks. Like I
Yeah,
would
3
say.
weeks. But I guess that's what we were
Like,
anticipating.
Yeah, but the weather has been like amazing.
Amazing,
The
yes.
sun has been out. It's been mild. Like I came out with just
Yes.
this jacket on today, so like it's getting there. It's getting to the point where it's getting warmer, and you can see it. The outfits. I mean, even if you go outside at nighttime, and you see some of the girls coming out. They were coming out with skirts and they're coming out with short dresses regardless.
I mean, look at the
minus 20.
I seen
But-
guys at the same time,
Yeah.
same token. These guys were wearing shorts, t-shirts. I'm like, I don't know if we're ready for that per se,
Exactly.
but people are ready for.
But
this spring.
like people dress down. If you've ever known like Toronto, like people will still wear like next to nothing when it comes to like club culture. Like people come out.
This has to be
however-
above zero.
Exactly, but they'll still come out even if it's below zero.
Yeah, you're right.
Girls, women are coming out that way.
But
If
they'll
you're
wear
kidding
like
me, to
long
look
parka
good,
jackets.
They might, and some might not. They'll just
Yeah.
come out the cab, right? Come out the Uber, and then just jump to the club because usually those girls are skipping the line.
Yes.
So they'll have a light jacket, but I get what you're saying. But I know, but yeah, the weather's getting amazing. I was already seeing a lot of people outside. Obviously, they changed the daylight saving, so that means we have more daylight. So that means the days are going to be longer. So you can tell that makes a difference in terms of what time the sun sets. So it's just been brighter longer.
Yes.
So I think it's about to get lively in the city, man. It's about to turn up.
100%.
Turn up.
Even when I'm in the gym and I look outside and I'm going home
Yeah.
and there's still daylight.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm going home, it's already
It's
nightfall.
pitch black, dude.
Right, it's pitch black, or you go to work, it's night, and then you come back home after a workout, it's night. It's kind of depressing, I'm not even gonna lie. So when you start to see signs of spring, you start to see that the days are longer. It's a lot brighter outside. You can go home and you feel good about yourself, because I feel like when it's nighttime, it kind of makes you nostalgic. It kind of makes you lethargic. Sorry, and you're just feeling very sluggish.
Yeah.
And not really wanting to do anything when you get home, but now you're still energized. You can still do things. You still feel like you have time on the clock. You could still get certain things done. I think that shift between it being nightfall and it being midday or evening and being able to still see light in front of you gives you that extra boost of energy for you to do whatever you need to do.
That's true, 100%. Like I think just getting things done later on in the day, especially like going to the gym,
Yes.
doing outdoor activities, playing sports, even just hanging out. You just feel like you have a lot more time in your day. So your day gets extended, your night gets extended and stuff like that. But I just wanted to talk about spring in general. When we're out of winter, because obviously it's already we're almost out of winter. I think technically spring is March 21st.
Yeah, which is this week.
Exactly.
This
So
week coming up.
when you usually exit the winter season, when you're done with winter and now we're starting spring, you understand obviously spring and summer are usually the best couple months for the city.
Yes.
So how do you prep yourself when it comes to spring? Do you change your routines? How do you organize your life when the weather starts getting better compared to when it's winter time?
Well, I'll say the first things first. I don't need to double up anymore. So that means I
Okay.
get to wear less clothing. That means in the morning I can get ready a lot faster, a lot quicker.
That's true.
Get out the door. Don't need to really sit around and warm up the car.
Absolutely.
So there's certain things you don't need to worry about when it starts to become spring, going towards summer. I would say currently right now, trying to change my nutrition to eat more healthy. Also, now you can start doing more walks to get some cardio in. If you're not running, you can walk. A lot of the time we're cooped up inside or cooped up in the gym, or we're forced to use a treadmill because it's too cold outside or it's icy outside or there's snow on the ground. So we don't typically go outside and just do a walk. So it would be good to incorporate that now. If you have a bike, it'd be a good time to start biking, getting ready for a biking season. And in terms of my routines for working out, it's going to be relatively the same. It's going to change here and there. I can't wait until I can start using the bars, calisthenics, start doing that, being out there.
You think you're going to be outside working out?
I
this
think
year?
I'm going to do some, for sure. I think I'm going to utilize the outdoor parks to do some calisthenics. I think since summer is so short, spring and summer season is so short, I think you should utilize it to the best of your ability. Not saying every day you're going to use it, but take advantage of being outdoors, because 6 to 7 months of the year we're indoors. So just take advantage of it, I would say. How about
Okay,
yourself?
that makes sense. No, for me, I think a lot changes. I think, one, you can, with the time change, I think what happens is weather starts getting better. So you can wake up earlier, get your things done a lot quicker because the sun's out as well. The days last longer, so you have more time. So when you have more time in the day, there's less excuses. So say, for example, if it's like, 7 o'clock, usually at 7 o'clock it's dark. So if you wanted to go to the gym, if you wanted to, do some errands, even go for a walk, you're not going to be motivated when it's dark outside. When it's bright outside, you're good. You're good to go. So I think just the energy changes in the city, and that's what I notice anytime it comes to the spring, summertime. It's just the energy. Everyone's outside. People want to do activities. People want to join, run clubs, groups, this and that. So I just think what I anticipate this spring, especially going towards summer, is that we're just going to have a lot of events going on. There's going to be people calling you to go to this, go join that, go do that. So I think you just have to brace yourself for like a busier schedule.
You're right.
I think in the winter, your schedule is a little bit relaxed. You're chilling. You're not really trying to go outside when it's minus 20. You're trying to chill, snowstorms, stuff of that nature. You're doing the bare minimum basic stuff that you need to get done, but you're not really going above and beyond to try and go outside and figure out what's going on and try new things because it's cold. Right? So you don't want to have to deal with the warming up of your car and this and that. You rather just stay inside. I think when it becomes warmer, now people have plans. People are having get-togethers, birthday parties, barbecues. So I just think that part of the spring/summer is just the amazing part that people wait for.
It's funny that you said around that time period, a lot of stuff are going on, a lot of events. People are calling you to come do this and come to this run club and come do this type of activity or so on and so forth. But I think one of the most important things that a person needs to realize or needs to do is learn how to safeguard your time.
100%.
Don't let people steal your time, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be calling you to do this and do that and do everything you can imagine. But if you don't safeguard your time, you'll expand too much to the point that you lose the time that you should have kept for yourself.
Exactly. I would say don't spread yourself thin.
Yes.
I think when it comes to it being nicer outside, I think a lot of people want to do it all, right? We all want to be here, be there. We don't want to miss out on whatever is going on, especially like street festivals, things going on in the city that is only going to come around once a year. You want to be a part of it. So a lot of the times you'll find yourself being caught up in trying to be a part of everything. But again, you still have to understand that if you have a purpose, you have to put that focus in your purpose. That doesn't change. Sometimes the distractions change. The your availability changes because, of course, like I said, when it's nicer, there's more shit going on. So you're more willing to do stuff. But with that being said, you still have to focus on the main goal. I think that's the big thing about, being distracted. When it becomes nice outside, we all want to get involved in whatever's going on. But sometimes you do have to look at what's going on and how does it benefit you moving forward. Because I think as you get older, you have to start doing things with intention. So you have to look at, does this help me out or does it not help me out? A lot of the times we do things repetitively because, we live in the city for many years or whatever the case may be. So when it's summer, we could do the same summer things. In the spring, we do the same spring things. When it's winter, we do the same winter stuff. But I think you have to challenge yourself each time you hit that point of the year. You have to say to yourself, what am I going to do differently? What am I going to do to improve myself rather than what am I going to do to enjoy myself?
I like that one thing you said about you got to move with intentions.
Yeah.
And that just segues me to what we're about to review today on Pop the Balloon or Find Love, on men making decisions based off intentions rather than just being in the moment and just wanting to get with a woman just for getting with a woman's sake.
Okay, well,
so let's check out this video and see what's going on with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring out our next single lady. Hello, welcome in. What's your name?
Hi, my name is J Era.
J Era, how old are you?
I'm 26.
And what do you do?
So I am a customer service representative, although I'm also an entrepreneur, and I am a lifestyle and beauty content creator.
Okay, very nice. What do you like to do for fun?
So for fun, I like to travel, try new restaurants, and I love fashion.
Okay. And now what are some things you look for in a man?
And for a man, I look for a man who is respectful, who is also ambitious, someone that I can learn from. Yes.
Okay. And now what are some of your deal breakers?
Music to my ears.
But
Can we just stop it right there?
Many man. Jeez.
Oh my God.
She got brutalized.
Buddy, that was insane in the sense that
So was that leading with intention over there? I think that was being intentional and on the men's side.
it was definitely being intentional on the men's side, just at the fact that J Era, I don't know if that's her government name.
Yeah, I know. That one threw me off.
That one threw
I'm
me
like,
off.
J-Era.
Yeah,
I thought she was a rapper for a second.
that's what I was saying. So
J-Era.
I don't know if that's her government name, but just the energy she came in with off the gates, right?
What did you see that was off the gate, like energy?
So first
I
of all,
didn't see much
I'm
until
telling
the
you.
point.
So I'm telling you, the moment she came in and she accentuated her name, saying J Era, my antennas they're already going up.
Yeah, but not enough to make any judgment.
But I'm saying my spidey senses are tingling, but it's not enough for me to make a judgment call. But my spidey senses are tingling.
Mm-hmm.
I have a prejudiced view against her already, just based off how she accentuated that.
But
with that tonality.
What I'm saying is, what bothered you about that?
It gave city girl vibes where boss babe energy.
Mm-hmm.
The way she said her name, right? She's trying to. That's a statement. That was a statement that she was saying.
Okay.
Right, like don't get it twisted. This is my name. Like I want everybody to know.
So she had a presence.
There's a presence that I felt that I believe. Okay,
you felt that would clash with you if you were there.
Yes, I'm saying that that's not necessarily gonna be the one that breaks the camel's back, but it's one that I need to take into account for what's going on. What's the next thing she's gonna say? So she said that, but what made those guys all pop around the same time in synchronicity was the fact that when the one guy popped, she did like an eye roll type of like.
Well, she
How
did,
dare
yeah,
you?
she did. She gave a face.
She gave a
She
face.
gave like a kind of face.
It was a face that
subtle attitude to
it was
her
it was a face that
facial expression.
many men know that indicates that you
Well,
have
we've all
attitude.
seen before.
Exactly. You're problematic. You're dramatic. Trauma. You probably have some trauma in your life. There's also drama in your life because the facial expressions that you're showing is indicating that I can see a problem brewing in the future.
For me, I think when I seen the situation, like her doing the reaction, I believe that people popped the balloon because she seemed to be, she expressed too much emotions, showing to them that she could potentially be a person that is maybe emotionally unstable or someone that may take offense to certain things in a different way, may be expressive. I think that's what it was. She was too expressive for what the guys wanted. And don't get me wrong, I think most women are expressive, honestly. I don't believe that a lot of women are, very, calm and this calm nature that we believe them to be. I think a lot of them do have that same characteristic. I just believe some can hide it better. And I think in this situation, had she not did that, people found her attractive, obviously, and they didn't think, even her off saying J era. They probably figured out the same things you did when you're like, okay, wait, she said her name. Seems a little bit like
that's not gonna break the camel's back.
Yeah, not gonna break the camel's back, but you said it seems like there's a personality behind her. I better pay attention to what she's saying.
Yes,
because it seems like she could be someone that you need to have that personality to deal with, right? So, but again, when she did cut her eye, that indicated to all the guys because they all popped at that point.
Yes.
Pretty much one guy I think keeps the balloon. And I think, moving forward, I don't know if you did you want to go further into the
video? We're going to move forward and we're going to see why.
We'll see why. That's our reasoning.
Why, exactly. The reasoning for why people were popping that quickly.
Exactly.
And now what are some of your deal breakers?
Pop them.
Okay, that's cool. They must be not ambitious. But anyways, what was the question?
What are some of your deal breakers?
Yeah, so my deal breakers, someone who's not respectful, someone who's not ambitious, someone who has kids, someone who don't have their own place, their own car, things of that sort. Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's go on over to some of these pop balloons.
Okay, cool.
Your name and age, and why did you end up popping your balloon?
My name is Vince. I'm 30 and very beautiful, but might be a little sassy, I like the reaction. I can see I don't know.
Okay. So he said a little sassy. What do you think?
Okay.
All right. So now is he someone that's your type?
No.
All right. And why not?
I don't know. It's maybe other perspectives.
All right, let's just stop it right there. Well, that's a prime example of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
He popped because he felt the energy, the presence. People don't understand how important body language is. That 80% of what a person perceives of an individual is coming based off body language.
Off body language, 100%.
Right? Because whatever you're holding in internally is shown through your external actions. Right? You're trying to suppress your actual thoughts in your mind, but sometimes it comes out in your facial expressions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And when her facial expressions had shown microaggressions,
100%.
that was that energy where remember she's the only woman that's standing there. So that means all eyes are on her. So if she does anything that has anything to do with microaggression and guys feel that energy, they're automatically gonna pop because they're gonna see this woman to be problematic. We also have to understand that these men are in their 30s, so they kind of understand how the game is played, how the game goes, and how women, through the experience they've had in the dating field, what to look out for. If it's a young 20s, okay, guys won't really pay attention to these little details.
Yeah.
But if you're in your 30s, mid-30s, you're going to pay attention to all of that because you don't want to waste your time with a woman that doesn't match with you. The compatibilities are off. You're just not gonna match up with those type of women.
It's interesting because, like, say a chick like that, like, we seen the microaggression, and we
Yes.
understand that, okay, she has some potential of having maybe a bad attitude. Like, we can see some early signs, right? What would be then the issue with having like a little bit of attitude? Because she never did anything rude. She did a facial expression. So why do you think the men are so quick to be out even on the slightest of attitude? Like, do men just want women that are docile, that don't have attitude, that don't have a backbone? Is that what we're looking for? Or is that, like, what's your thoughts on that? Because all of them pop, but every guy is different. Let's just face the facts. Like, what one guy will pop for, other guys won't pop for. In this lineup, some guy did keep the balloon. So where does attitude fall in terms of when you're dealing with women? Like, where does attitude fall in that threshold of just dealing with somebody? The slightest attitude, you're out of there? Or
So-
like, how does it work?
So it's not even necessarily about the slightest attitude of a woman. That's what turns a lot of guys off. You have to understand in which the culture these guys are coming from. They're coming from a Western culture, and they're dealing with American women, American black women at that,
Okay.
right? So there's a certain level of understanding that they have with American black women. So when they see little microaggressions, they understand that people do bait and switch all the time,
Okay.
right? You put on a nice front, and then once you get with them, they turn into something else, right? And then that's when
That's true. Mhm.
that's when the drama comes in, and that's when the aggressive tendencies tend to kick in, or even emotional abuse, right? Trying to attack your manhood, shame, insult, and the need to be right. Shame,
insult,
guilt,
guilt,
and the need to be right. Shout out to Kevin Samuels with that one. But one of those four come out,
Yeah.
and men aren't dealing with that nowadays because they're more consciously aware of that aspect of dating.
Yep.
So they're sharp right now. They're staying vigilant, and if they don't need to be in a relationship, why will they force one?
I see. I guess it's the nature of the show. I think, like I said, I don't think she did anything that was like, I don't think she did anything that you could like necessarily disqualify her, like legitimately. Like, you can say she turned her eye or whatever, and you didn't like that, but that to me is like a minuscule thing. Like, it's just like if a guy, if she said something, and like, don't get me wrong, if you watch further, you'd have to see how she reacts towards how they respond to her. You have to see what energy she gives off later on going forward. But I think at the beginning, because the show is so predicated on first impressions and making yourself look a certain way, that a lot of people can go on the show and be fake. Like, at least she did show her authentic self, and she didn't yield the results she wanted, I would say. But I don't think that maybe that woman wouldn't get another guy moving forward, just because I think the narrative sometimes is that, like, a lot of these girls come in with attitude or whatever, and no one wants to deal with it. But face the facts, a lot of guys deal with women with attitude.
Of course.
Lots of women have attitude. I'd say majority have attitude compared to the ones that don't.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think men have learned how to deal with women of this nature, to be fair. They know how to deal with this woman. But like you
There's
said,
a person for sure,
but
but
like-
maybe not on this show.
yeah, but like you said, when it comes to certain guys, I think, it is a red flag when they have that type of personality. Because again, a lot of guys don't want to battle with the woman they're with. I think that's more of the message here, is that a lot of guys don't want to deal with the woman that, can't even take criticism from strangers.
Yes.
This had nothing to do with anyone else, right? So
So we're gonna continue and see what else we have in store with the popping of the balloon on J Era.
J Era. She's definitely in her J Era. She's in her bag right now.
Oh yeah.
That's fair.
Thank you. Let's go over here. Your name and age, and why did you end up popping your balloon? Stand right here, please.
I'm Sean. I'm 29. I popped because, and I don't mean to be rude, but you just kind of seemed a little extra for me, and yeah, that's pretty much why.
Now, is
Just
he
a lot
someone
of
that's your
facial
type?
expressions. That's what it is.
I mean, he looks handsome, yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I think you're attractive too.
Okay, thank you.
Your name and age, and why did you end up popping your balloon?
Ahmad, 33. Just wasn't my type, and it's giving city girl vibes. He came out real hot out the gate, and you got these temperaments and these, these facial expressions, stuff like that. I just wasn't feeling it. Kind of young and immature to me, so yeah.
Okay.
Different angle.
Okay. Is
Immature.
he someone that's your type?
No.
Okay. Why not?
It's the nose ring and the earrings for me. It's a no.
Hey, everybody got,
Next.
Next. You hear that?
Okay, let's go over here.
We'll
Your
stop
name and
right
age,
there.
and
See, this is what I'm talking about. Well, you can clearly see that she doesn't like criticism.
She can't handle
She
criticism.
can't handle criticism, but I will, to be fair, the way the last guy criticized her was a jab.
That's why I seen
That
why
was-
she
that
came
was a
back.
dig.
She
Yeah.
she had to fight back.
Yeah, that was a dig because he hit her with immaturity.
Yes.
And, you came out the gates hot. And, I didn't like
All
the,
this temperament.
Yeah, this
Yeah, he was
temperament and the
he
facial
got her.
expression and immature. That's why I popped. So she felt disrespected. If you didn't like me, just say you don't like me. Like the
You
last
don't
guy.
like me, tell me you don't
Yeah,
like me.
you
Say
know
it
what I mean?
like it is.
Yeah, just say it like it is. Like the last guy, he just said,
Just said, yo.
I
You're a little
just felt
extra,
you're a little extra.
not to be rude, you're extra.
You're
you
still
look
pretty
good.
and whatnot, but
Keep
you're
it
not for
moving.
me. And he kept it moving. But this guy, he had the whole spiel ready, He wanted to cut her up, bring it down a couple notches.
City girls vibes.
Yeah, city girl vibes.
He hit her hard. He hit her hard.
He hit her hard. I'm not gonna lie. So,
Yeah, so she was
women,
rightful. Right,
women
yeah.
are emotional creatures. We're all emotional creatures, but women
tend to be more emotional.
tend to be more emotional. So when you go and dig at a person that much on live television, you can't expect not to
get some pushback.
Pushback,
So
yeah.
I don't mind her coming at my
Yeah.
boy. Because my boy's getting a little hard
She was
on
going
her,
hard.
But at the end of the day, like I said, when it comes to attitude, I think it's just one of those things that I wouldn't say that, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say that having attitude is the worst thing to have. I think just it depends in the scenario. Because it's a dating show, I think you shouldn't show those attributes of yourself.
Okay.
That's where she got it wrong. I don't think it's bad to have attitude because I think, you don't want a woman that's a pushover too. We have
Yeah.
to look at it that way. We can't just say, okay, yeah, this girl has attitude. It's just that the realm you're in. You're in a dating realm. Nothing should throw you off so bad that you're giving out attitude unless someone's personally, dissecting you with which maybe the other guy did, and then you gave him attitude. That makes sense. But in terms of when the guy popped the balloon, that was just a facial reaction you should have never have done because that's part of the show. No one facially reacts. Sometimes they might just act surprised, but you can't act like you're above a balloon pop. I think that's where they
That's
look.
what it
It's
was.
what, are you above a balloon pop? And
Yes.
she's who are you to pop on me?
That's how I felt.
And I think that was
the
an
energy she gave me.
arrogance,
Yeah, the arrogance.
rather than the attitude. They're saying
Yes.
extra and stuff, but I'm I think it was a little different. I think you just viewed it
I think you hit it on the nail when
Mm-hmm.
it was more of that feeling of her eye roll was just you're beneath me. How dare
yeah,
you pop?
arrogance. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
how
I
dare you
don't.
pop
I
on
don't even
me?
think they're describing what they kind of felt.
Yes.
Legitimately. I think
Yes.
it's more of an arrogant thing. They can say she popped it kind of like I would have popped on you anyways. Who are
Yes.
you to pop on me type of
Yes.
thing, rather than she has attitude and she's extra. I just think that she may have came in there feeling herself a little bit. I think that's what put off people overall. I think she just feeling herself, which, like you said, with the name, with the this, with the that. I think the whole combination is
Yes.
man, you're feeling yourself a little bit too much. We're gonna put you down a couple notches. You get me?
Exactly. So I mean, overall, what happens at the end could we only to look at the whole video, but what happens at the end is this one guy that holds on to the balloon all the way up to the end, even though everybody popped. He holds on to the balloon all the way to the end. He goes up to the point where Arlette talks to both of them, and he's asking her questions. She's answering them. But again, the way she's talking, it's I'll take
combative.
him, but it's not really my first choice type of deal. It's like, he's cool. But what does that mean when a woman says, oh, he's cool?
That's not the first choice. He's cool.
He's cool. I've never even heard that saying. It's like, I'll take you, but let's see what you can do for me type of deal.
That's what it sounds
That's
like.
what it sounds like to me.
He's cool. Like, we'll see if he can charm me. If he can't charm me.
Yeah, if he can't charm me, I'm out the door type
It's
of
like,
deal.
I'm not really interested, but I'll give him a shot.
When I hear a woman say, what do you think about this guy? He's cool. It's telling me that I could see him as a potential friend.
Absolutely. There's no other way
That's
around.
more of a friend. Who says cool? Like, you're either good looking or you're type or you're not.
Exactly. If a woman's describing a guy that she wants to go date, she's going to say, like, he's... Like, I'm not saying she can't describe him as he's cool. Like, that could be a part of the description, but it's not going to stop there. Yeah. It's like, he's a good-looking guy. Like, I find him attractive.
He's handsome. He's attractive.
This and that. Like,
he's good-looking. Yeah.
You're going to find them in that situation. If you say cool, buddy, you may as well just join the friend
You might as well
list.
exit yourself, right?
Yeah, just join the list of the friends,
Which
buddy.
is what he did, right? At the end of it, the way she was talking.
He knew she wasn't really feeling him.
She wasn't feeling him like that, and she was just kind of testing the waters, and then seeing that she could walk out with somebody. Hey, if the guy's gonna break bread and send it my way, I'll take it. And then when he's done with all that, I'm out of there.
But again, back to like the attitude or having like a feisty personality or like a spicy personality. Were you ever the type to like that type of personality when it comes to, or that prototype if it comes to like a woman?
Spicy attitude,
like spicy, feisty.
I wouldn't mind it at my younger stages of life just because I was around it.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of normal. It was the norm. You expected that the women that you're around will be there's gonna be some kind of spicy attitude that's gonna come with it.
Like some edge to them.
Yeah, some edge, which is I'm not against that. I was never opposed to it. I think as I've gotten older in different stages of life, I think I personally like a more calm, collective individual, not really so hot-tempered.
But what I'm saying is, like, say, for example, if you're dealing with someone with you around them, they're calm, they're nice, they're whatever. But, like, say they're in a situation where it's, like, it's time to protect what you guys got going on, or, like, a family, or defend certain things, or argue. Like, would you want someone to have that type of attitude, or would you want them to take the back seat and you take care of, like, those type of big issues?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Do you want the attitude to kick in when you need it to kick in? Like,
I think you need the attitude to kick in when you need it to kick in. There has to be a time and place for those things, especially if it's the defense of your family and stuff of that sort, or protecting your own or protecting what you got. But it's a double-edged sword because as much as you want that, if you double cross that person, that same vim and energy is coming right back to you. You know what I mean?
See, I think that's
it's a double-edged sword with that.
That's the funny thing. But I guess it's like, obviously don't cross your partner. But you know, like you said, but if you do happen to cross your partner,
just
then,
know that
they can have that wrath
that storm
will come back
is
to
coming
you.
right back.
So maybe that's why guys like to easy going, just in case. You know, I'm not trying to get you know gutted in their sleep.
Right.
I can understand.
You shouldn't have to sleep with one eye open.
Exactly. But even speaking on that, I want to speak on like masculinity, right?
Yes.
Because like, you know, masculinity gets challenged even in this case with, you know, the girl just having slight attitudes like, oh, all the guys are scared off and running. Like, you know, the masculinity starts to get questioned. It's like, man, are these guys soft? Like anytime a chick has like a slight attitude, you guys like are all throwing in the towel, don't want nothing to do with it. So, you know, I wanted to speak on masculinity, and there was a clip we had as well with the actor Anthony Mackie. You know him; he plays Captain America in the latest film, and he's played a lot of other roles as well. Like he played actually in 8 Mile. I figured out he was Papa Doc when
he was Papa Doc. I've seen that.
And Eminem
they
was
brought it up.
him,
I've seen that.
So
actually.
we'll get into the video and. He talks about masculinity, but it's kind of interesting coming from him. This is why I wanted to bring up this clip. So we'll play the video and see what he says about like masculinity in America.
The past 20 years, we've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. My boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up.
I love that.
Because we're men. So for me, it's always that idea of American masculinity is very different. You feel it when you go to Europe. Like you see these and you're like, could bust your ass, boy. The past 20 years.
So pretty much that's what he's saying about masculinity.
Yes.
And what he is basically saying, he said like when he goes to Europe and he sees these guys, it bleeped it out. Like obviously he's saying like these guys, you know.
They're about their business.
No, he's saying basically
they're not
when he
about their
goes,
business.
yeah, when he goes to Europe, he's just seeing like guys are soft.
Oh, okay.
Like he's basically saying like they're bitches.
Okay.
Right? Like when he goes to like I can bust your ass. Like when he goes to Europe, he's just saying like how he sees them moving, right? Like he's seeing them moving like with femininity rather than masculinity. That's what he's trying to get at.
Okay.
So he's trying to, but he's saying in America, masculinity is dead, right? And so he preaches to his kids how to be a man and all these type of things. But the interesting
Same level of Europe?
Pardon?
Is it the same level of Europe, like the femininity in America? Is that what he's trying to say?
I think he's saying that like in Europe it's more easy to see there, but he's saying like that's like how it is. That's how it should be. Like he's saying like America should be more like masculine in the sense like when they go to Europe they see them as like soft, but they supposed to have a more of a masculine persona to themselves, right? So pretty much when he's talking about American masculinity, but mind you, this is an actor that not too long ago, maybe like 2 years, 3 years ago, he played a role where it was on Netflix, Black Mirror, and then obviously it's a big show, big production.
Yeah.
And he was basically portraying himself as a guy that was playing this virtual game with a friend. And pretty much in the virtual game, you can feel the sensation in real life. So he was a male character, and the guy who he was playing with had a female character. But you can have sex in the game. So they would have sex or make out. You'd feel the same sensation, but obviously it's between a man and a woman in the game. But in real life, they're both guys. So long story short, they wanted to see if that romance online can be translated into real life upon realizing that the guy was actually a dude. He's not a woman.
God damn it.
So in the show, he ends up obviously making out with the black guy, right? So both the two black men making out with each other on this show, obviously. So it's interesting because this video went a little bit viral because people are saying, well, you're talking about masculinity being dead and teaching your kids how to be masculine, but you played a gay role or you did a gay act on a huge platform.
What are we
so
doing?
just what's your thoughts on like a guy like that? Like if he is preaching masculinity, but then he's the poster boy on the other side of things, how do you view that? Like, do you feel that he's just acting and he has a valid point or he's playing both sides of the fence?
Oh boy. We spoke about this before, and it's funny that, we brought this up again. We'll put it this way. It's the equivalent of a guy being against slavery, but then he decides to play the role of a slave in a slave movie. But then he's advocating against the injustice against his people, but he's out there partaking in the charades of playing a slave in a slave movie.
Yeah, and the depiction.
And
of
the depiction.
a slave.
And it's like, well, how do you explain that you played a role of a slave in a slave movie that pretty much represents your own ancestors? And then the case he might argue that, well, they weren't my ancestors. I'm like, they are your skin color. So, you guys are still from the same family lineage, the same family tree.
But some people might argue and say, well, yeah, it's a slave movie. I want to give them a depiction because there's black slaves and I'm a black actor. I want to portray that so people can just see and understand the movie. But at the same token, I don't believe what they did was right. Like, I don't believe that slavery was right. I'm just acting a role. I'm not necessarily saying that what they did was right, but if I can contribute to showcase what slavery looked like on a bigger screen or whatever for people to see, at least they can see that. And I can fight the other shit behind the scenes.
So I think what happens is the way you represent yourself is the way people are going to depict you as. For example, Al Pacino, he plays Scarface. That role is cemented on Al Pacino. Wherever he goes, people are going to start saying Scarface lines.
Of course.
Right? Because he's synonymous with Scarface. There's even though they're two different individuals, that's a
iconic role.
It's an iconic role and a fictional role, and then he's the actual person. It sticks with him.
It sticks with him.
When you're
like Tony Montana, people know him as Tony Montana.
They know him as Tony Montana, and and he's Al Pacino, right?
Yeah.
There's certain roles that are cemented with you. Will Smith in many movies that he's played.
Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black is a famous one. There's so many actors that play certain roles and they stick with them throughout their whole tenure of just being in the movie role. Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, to this day is Carlton.
I mean,
real name.
Alfonso. Yeah, exactly, Alfonso, right? But I still call him Carlton because he represented Carlton in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So as much as people are saying, oh, I'm just doing this because of whatever reason you're giving,
financial.
It usually is financial.
Yeah.
The point of the matter is that they're going to hold you to that character. And if they do hold you to that character, if you jump on board and start to rant about masculinity when you're doing stuff that doesn't represent masculinity, people are going to look back into your archives and say, hey, hold on. Wait, buddy, didn't you just do this role? And they'll bring it back and be like, hey, let's roll the tape here, please.
So what I'm trying to say is, so for example, like say you play
I don't know if I could believe that. I don't know if I could take your word and
so
run
you're
with
saying it just makes you less credible.
Yes.
Because what I'm trying to say is like say like a gangster plays, right? Say a gangster plays an actor plays the role of a gangster, but then he's against gang violence and he's like, yeah, I don't believe in all that gang violence. I don't believe in any of that type of thing. Would you still call him would you put the responsibility on him for would you put some responsibility on him for perpetuating gang culture if he played a gangster in a show?
I would just.
And then he argues against gang cultures? You're going to put them to that role?
You can't play both sides, in my opinion.
But my thing is, so that's what I'm saying. Like if you're an actor or even like a musician, can you be that role and then advocate against what it is you're doing to make money?
You have to have a level of integrity when you choose your roles, right? There's certain roles that you have to stand by and say, I can't do this role for whatever reason. Just like people that follow certain religions and stuff of that sort.
Yeah,
there's certain things that you just can't do. I'm not going to question it. This is just my belief
You have
system.
the right to choose whichever role.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. You have the right to
you
choose
do have the
whatever role
right.
you need.
You have the right. And if you choose to do whatever role and then double back later on in the future and say, you know what, even though I played this role, this is how I really feel about whatever.
Yeah.
At the time when you're benefiting financially for that role, you didn't care about the issues that are now placed in front of you. But now that the tides have turned, now you're on the opposite spectrum, and now you're like, well, no, masculinity should be brought up like this, and we should be pumping our chest up and behaving like this and teaching our sons to be masculine men, especially in America. It's like, buddy, I don't even know where you stand.
Yeah,
and you're the spokesperson for masculinity?
Yeah, no one even understands where you stand. But see, that's the thing too, like with changing your mind and doing things differently or having a different mentality. For this case, this was recent, so I wouldn't say like, there's a big shift. It's not like this is 10 years ago. I guess if he had done this 10 years ago, hey, that was 10 years ago. I was a struggling actor. I didn't know at that time, what my role was going to, transform into. So therefore I didn't do it, right? But just in general, even with this guy, he's saying his points, and don't get me wrong, his points actually make sense. But again, I can't ignore the fact that the role you played portrayed what it portrayed, and you can't ignore that fact neither. So I think, the interviewers in that show, they didn't obviously question him on the roles he's played and be like, hey, you're talking about masculinity, but what's your definition of masculinity? You seem to be pretty open with what's going on. You don't have no issues with that. So what are you talking about? That's what I mean. Like, the soft, even the entire role in that whole show, because that whole show is about being a gamer too, right? Like playing a video game and everything. So the whole concept was like completely like against what he's talking about. Let's just say that. Like if he truly wanted a role, he would have picked the right role. I never seen Denzel do anything like that.
Yes.
So don't give me that excuse.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen him play no type of role like this. So don't give me that. But anyways, point of the matter is that, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes, like they say, you have to practice what you preach. Unfortunately, people think you literally have to practice what you preach. You can't preach a sermon and then people are figuring out that you're living a life differently or you're doing things differently. So sometimes I guess you got to listen to the messenger, and sometimes you got to do background checks on the messenger.
100%.
Sometimes these guys are preaching messages, but their lifestyle is not matching up with what the hell they're preaching. And maybe that's a thing we have to pay attention to. Sometimes we're listening to people that are preaching things, but they themselves have to figure out their own situation rather than preach to others.
I feel the exact same way when it comes to that. I think, I mean, it's tough in the sense because people say that, just because a person wasn't a good student doesn't mean that they can't teach. I mean, in a way, they're correct, but
that too. It's the sentiment behind the message, not the messenger.
Exactly,
like, you take that.
Exactly. Which is true to a certain extent, but I mean, for me personally, I'm not gonna hire a personal trainer that's overweight. I don't care how much you know. You're not gonna try and tell me.
Perception is everything.
Yeah, perception is everything. You're not gonna try and tell me this is how you lose this amount of weight and this is the type of nutrition you're supposed to have in order to look this way. But then I look at you and you look like a slob. Yeah, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. I don't care what you're saying.
It's always been like that.
Yeah, it's been like this, and it will continue to be that way. Perception is key.
Perception is key. We judge people based on like certain things, and depending on the profession.
Especially aesthetics. Aesthetics is everything. Appearance is everything. And if you don't match up to what your message is representing, again, I'm sorry, sir. You're gonna have to move aside. I'm gonna look for somebody that looks more the part than you do.
Yeah.
But
so I'd say, what's your final? Do you have a final word to just describe the podcast, or any advice or word significant to you for today's podcast?
That's a good question. I think today's word, I would say, be intentional. So just be intentional about what you represent. Be intentional about who you want to be surrounded with. Be intentional with your time. Be intentional with certain events, certain things that you do attend on a daily basis, whether it's summertime and the festivities that are going on with that, and certain people that you hang around with, and certain parties you go to, and certain network events. You got to be intentional, because if you're not, your time will be stolen from you.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much, that does wrap up most of what we are talking about, having the right intentions and having a mapped out plan of where you're headed and where you're going. I think for me, today's word would be subtlety.
Okay.
I think that, we have to pay attention to the subtleties of life, subtleties in people's reactions, personalities, who we deal with. I think that, you have to learn to pay attention to details, and you have to see the small details, and sometimes they paint the bigger picture. I think a lot of us, we try to, look at things as a big picture, but the subtleties are what define the big picture. I think we have to try and focus when we're talking with people, when we're getting to know people, especially in the dating arena.
100%.
You have to figure out how you have to understand why it's so important to to pick up on subtleties.
Yes.
Because if you're not able to pick up on subtleties, you'll maybe enter into situations that you never expected and get reactions that you didn't expect because you didn't see it early. So I think you just have to pay attention to those subtleties when it comes to people's personalities, just dealing with strangers, people you don't know. I think you have to pay attention to little cues, those little small things, and I think they tell you the big picture.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't say it any better than that.
That's it.
And that's all we got for today.
sir.
And this is Far From Normal Podcast, and we are out.
Deuces. You already know.